What's going on, guys? It's the Dank American, and for all its faults, I gotta thank feminism for one thing and one thing only. Now, I know some of you are wondering how feminism made this great, magnificent feat. Let's dive into it. Many feminists will offer a charitable description of feminism as a move towards equality to men and women. In reality, feminism is a subversion of the patriarchy and traditional gender roles within the nuclear family, demonizing these things which build up society. The church, for example, has been bombarded with feminist garbage that has led to things like this.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. And the people.
This woman has clearly never read Psalm 139 or 1 Timothy 2, but the truth is that she doesn't need to. Mary Daly, a pioneering lesbian feminist theologian, famously said, "If God is male, then the male is God." Under the feminist paradigm, women need to break free from the patriarchy. This would include God because, he's a guy. We can't follow problematic messages like 1 Timothy, where women shouldn't have authority over a man, or Psalm 139, where babies have a unique identity from the womb, or Ephesians 5, where wives ought to submit to their husbands as unto the Lord. The church is supposed to be the moral watchdog of this country, but since feminism in many ways subverted the church, you see this garbage pour out into the culture at large. The nuclear family is tossed to the side because feminist women want to bang 1,000 guys and pursue their careers rather than settle down and be a housewife. I know, being a housewife is totally, literally slavery. I gotta ask though, is being a total literal slave to your husband that much worse than being a total literal slave to a faceless corporation?
Gen Z boss enemy! Gen Z boss enemy! No!
Many of these women seem to think so. A lot of them will shout how happy they are to be strong, independent women, but then when you look at how happy they have been over time. Over the past 2024 election cycle, I often heard Trump speaking against Marxist ideology.
We believe that Marxism is an evil doctrine straight from the ashes of hell. Having Marxism in our government is intolerable, and teaching it to our children is considered to us child abuse.
That's what she is. She's a Marxist. And we are not ready for a Marxist, and we will never be ready for a Marxist or a communist president, which is what she is.
More importantly, they're going to destroy our country. If she wins, I don't believe our country has a chance because it's a Marxist ideology. And if you go back 3 or 4 years and you look at her statements, even running for office, she was raising her hand for every bad. You can't have any personal insurance, personal life insurance, or any form of insurance. You have to be in a big government pool. That's Marxism. No votes, she got no votes. But she'd be very bad for the country. We have to save our country. We can't play games, and we can't have a Marxist, communist president because that's not what it's all about. So we're going to do it, and we're going to...
Tuition costs at colleges and universities have been exploding, and I mean absolutely exploding, while academics have been obsessed with indoctrinating America's youth. The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left, and we will do that. Our secret weapon will be the college accreditation system. It's called accreditation for a reason. The accreditors are supposed to ensure that schools are not ripping off students and taxpayers, but they have failed totally. When I return to the White House, I will fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics.
I found this very interesting. Under Karl Marx's worldview, modern Western society was basically a bad soap opera starring the capitalist villains and the downtrodden workers. The plotline? Greedy capitalists snatching up everything the workers deserved. Problem is, when this drama aired in North America, it didn't get rave reviews. With a higher standard of living and the possibility of climbing the social ladder, the working class wasn't exactly clamoring to play the downtrodden proletarians. Then came the feminists of the 1960s and 70s, who found Marx's tale of oppression all too relatable, but with a twist. They rewrote it with men in the villain roles, the cruel male oppressors, and women as the heroic yet vulnerable proletarian, fighting against centuries of patriarchal exploitation. The idea of class conflict became all the more thrilling when class could mean gender, adding a fresh, spicy layer of intrigue to the whole oppression saga. The idea caught on like a wildfire to many other groups who also had grievances to air. The alphabet mafia embraced the setup and defined themselves as the innocent victims of the dreaded street oppression. The race alphabet, BIPOC, short for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color, claiming their place as the wronged party against white oppression. You get the picture. Marx's idea of class conflict gained a whole new fan base among anyone who could be convinced to feel a bit disgruntled. Soon, it became the go-to script for all kinds of movements, each with its own cast of villains and victims ready for prime time. Who was the common denominator villain in all these dramas? I'll play some Jeopardy music so you figure it out. If you answered who is straight men, you'd be correct. Bonus points if you said straight white men. This war between the sexes has been raging on for decades. For much of the past century, people were chosen for roles based on what they'd already achieved and how likely they were to keep achieving. The thinking went something like this: if you want a job done right, hand it to the best qualified person. I mean, the workforce was built around the radical idea that the best person for the job might just, in fact, do the job well. But doing a good job is an obstacle to the feminist goal of increasing female power. They want representation by any means necessary, even if it isn't earned. And this is where awesome things like diversity, equity, and inclusion practices are ushered in everywhere. At colleges, schools, games, movies, TV, politics. Hell, we almost got a DEI president. Imagine having to listen to this for 4 years.
I can't do it.
The beautiful thing about DEI practices too is that it accomplishes the exact opposite of what it sets out to do. Tons of women are going to college, but not as many men. Where are the DEI initiatives to get men back in college so things are equal? Nowhere. Because it's not about equality. It never was. It's about subversion. When you have an overabundance of women somewhere, that's diversity. When it's mostly men, it's sexism. This is so balls to the wall backwards I can't even see straight, but that's the reality of living under a feminist paradigm across this country. This is why the last Dragon Age game made me want to bash my head in with a sledgehammer the size of my made-up house. The developer team is made up of activists who don't even know their own game franchise.
Alright, next up we have Seb.
Daddy issues.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember him. I don't remember much about him.
I don't remember, but I think banish. Just stay away. A lot of red flags.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I can't go romance with this one, right? He wouldn't be into it. So I'll go befriend.
Okay, cool. Alright.
Feminists will do everything they can to be anything but housewives. They view that as the absolute worst of the worst thing that you could do. They'll lie and say that their goal is to give women the option of being a housewife or not, but every part of their worldview points women away from doing that. They don't view babies as individual people in the womb. They can't, because if they do, feminists can't be the harlots begging guys left, right, and center and having ungodly amounts of abortions. Single mother households have risen tremendously over the past few decades. The government subsidizes women to break away from their men and raise the child on their own. which leads to all sorts of issues which are too many to count, if I be honest. This isn't sustainable at all. Many developed countries across the world, the sustainable replacement rate is 2.1 children per woman. Many developed countries fall below that. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the United States has 1.7 children per woman. The UK is 1.6. Canada and Switzerland are 1.5. Greece is 1.4. Italy and Spain are 1.3, as well as Ukraine and Japan. And South Korea is at 0.9 children per woman. In light of all of this, what did the Democrats push?
If the other guy wins, there will be no question there will be a national abortion ban in our country. I say that very sadly as a Roman Catholic, as
And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
I'm not here as a celebrity. I'm not here as a politician. I'm here as a mother.
They've got nothing for men. Absolutely nothing for regular working men. Feminism has been a disaster for this country, and I'm glad more and more men are seeing that now. It's why Trump won, and now he's in office. So, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think of all this. I've been wanting to say this for a long time now, so I really hope this resonates with you. And if not, then I thank you for watching this far anyway. Please like this and subscribe if you haven't already. And also share this video to other people if you think it'll be helpful to them. Have a great one, y'all.